Hello. I've been doing some painting this morning, and they're turning out pretty well. Anyway, I've begun to add some middle ground and foreground features to the landscapes. Things like ponds, waves, and closer up forest. Let's see what that looks like, and then you can add those features to your painting as well. Every ocean scene deserves a wave crashing onto the beach. The first step to painting a wave is deciding on the shape and location of your wave and outlining it in a little bit of paint. Your outline should show the top of the wave and then where it curls over and begins to crash. The line for the top of the wave will continue a little bit past where it curves and crashes. This is the top of the tube of the wave. Once you have your outline, mix up a darker watercolor and paint that down along the bottom inside part of the wave. This will be the shadowy, deeper part of your wave. Use curving brush strokes to indicate how the water curves on the inside of that wave. Then mix up a lighter watercolor and paint that on the top inside part of the wave and also the top part of the wave on the left where it curls over. Make sure you blend these colors in a little bit, and you can also use them to help cover up the outline of the wave. You don't really need to see that outline of the wave once it's finished. That just kind of helps us know where each part of the wave needs to be. And now we're ready for the fun part of this wave, the whitewash, the crashing bubbles. To paint this, you can start by actually laying down a little bit of darker splash color. This just helps the lighter splash colors really pop off the page. So I'm going to go through and paint some darker watercolors using that splashing loop-de-loop brush motion. The splashy part of the wave goes right at the bottom part of the tube and extends up along the edge of the tube and the rim of the wave and splashes big on the other side. For my wave, that's the left side. I added a little bit more water below my wave and blended that into the water behind it. You could also add a few lighter streaks of water getting sucked up into the wave. But I think this wave needs just a little bit more splashes. Really exaggerate those splashes, making them a little bit bolder, a little bit wider, adding some paint to them, letting them actually even extend above the wave a little bit as they splash. There we go, a beautiful wave. Surf's up. The third step for most mountain paintings is going to be to paint a forest along the bottom edge of the mountain. I'm going to paint this mountain with a combination of deciduous and evergreen trees. I'm going to start by mixing up a dark maroon color and then using the tapping, dabbing method to get some nice bushy trees. I'm still imagining that these trees are very far away and very small. Leaf and tree texture always needs a second color, so I'm going to go back over that forest again with a slightly lighter and grayer reddish purple. Nice tone of red purple there. And then I'm going to add in some evergreen trees as well. So I'm going to mix up a dark blue-green and then use that to paint some very small trees in that forest, making downwards sweeping brush strokes. Evergreen trees will look especially good if you go back into them with some darker brush strokes to show the shadows under the branches, and some lighter brush strokes to show light or snow resting on the top of the branches. I'm going to go ahead and paint the snow field that extends out in front of this forest. I'm going to do that not by using pure white. Pure white's going to look weird, especially in a nighttime painting. So I'm going to mix up kind of a grayish blue-green snow color and begin to build some little snow dunes and little hilly snow landscape extending down into the front of the painting. After you paint the base layer of your snow, you're going to need to go down towards the bottom of some of the snow dunes and create some shadow areas. Don't allow the shadows to take over. Just create some medium dark shadows in the snow. And then use a lighter color to create highlight areas where the light is hitting the top of a snow dune. By having these different tones and values streaked across your snow, you're going to get a really nice realistic look. And tomorrow we can paint some more up-close trees on top of this snow. And the last landscape feature I'll show you today is a pond. Now, if I had known I was going to do a pond when I first started this painting, I would have allowed the sunset to extend all the way down to the bottom of the page. But since I didn't, I'm going to do that now. So I'm basically going to repaint that sunset again down on the bottom half of the page, starting with yellow and fading that in to the oranges and the reds and the pinks. And this time, instead of making those circular brush strokes radiating out from the sun, I'm going to make them more horizontal and side to side because this is ripples in the water. Then I'm going to mix up the color of the trees and lay just a bed of that color down right above the pond, just making some little piles of that paint that I can streak down across the surface of the water to look like a reflection. This is a really cool technique. Brush very lightly and quickly as you do this, and don't overwork it and have those reflection colors actually blend and mix with the colors of your sunset, or you're going to start to see browns down there in the water. Once you've pulled down your reflections, it's time to make the banks of this lake. And you do this by basically making little mini mountains using a brownish or a rocky color and the palette knife. And then just scrape across some little thin banks of the river, especially along the back edge of it. It needs to be very thin. And you can have bigger rocks on the side of your lake. I'm going to connect the banks to show the back edge of that lake. And I'm actually going to go ahead and bring the sunset all the way down to the bottom of the page. That way I can get the look of the water extending, coming all the way up to my feet. I'm also going to add some white reflections on the lake to show where the brightest part of the sun is hitting it, using side-to-side streaking brush strokes, just like we did to paint an ocean. I'm going to add a few more banks poking out into the lake, leaving some white areas that I'll fill in with grass and trees tomorrow. I also need to add rock texture to these, but I'm going to let them dry before I do that. So we'll look at that tomorrow. And for today, this sunset is done. All right, it's your turn. Let's get going.